Chapter 3. The Long Shadow of Grief. The road to Athens stretched long before them, winding through the dry hills and fertile valleys of Attica. Nikarkhos rode at the head of their small party, guiding their camels carefully along the rocky paths. The sun beat down relentlessly, dust clinging to their skin as they pressed forward. With him travelled Damon and Thera, two fellow Nyxidos chosen for their skill and discretion. Damon was a sharp-eyed scout, quick with a blade and quicker with his wit. Thera, quiet and watchful, was the most disciplined of the three. They carried rations, weapons, the parchment bearing Callista's name and place of work, and a map guiding them to Athens, their final destination. For days, they moved through the countryside with little trouble. At night, they took turns keeping watch, wary of bandits or Spartan patrols. But as they approached the city of Eleusis, the journey took an unexpected turn. Eleusis was a modest city, its streets lined with olive trees and small homes of sun-baked brick. The town was known for its mysteries, a sacred cult devoted to Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and Persephone, her daughter who ruled alongside Hades in the underworld. Tired from the road, the three warriors found respite in a tavern near the city square, a place of warmth and revelry. The scent of roasted meat and spiced wine filled the air as they settled at a wooden table. "I'll abstain tonight," Thera said, crossing her arms as Nikarkhos and Damon filled their cups. Damon smirked. "More drink for us, then, right, Nikarkhos?" Nikarkhos only grunted, content to let the wine ease his weary limbs. They were nearly at their destination. Athens was only a day's ride away. One night of rest would not hurt them. But Thera's sharp ears caught something amidst the drunken laughter and the clink of cups. A woman at a nearby table, her voice edged with urgency, spoke to a small group of anxious townsfolk. "They're gone! Vanished without a trace!" a man exclaimed, his voice unsteady. "3 this month alone, and nothing, no bodies, no sign of a struggle, just gone." A murmur of agreement rippled through the table. A woman clutched at her shawl, eyes darting nervously around the room. "You all saw the footprints near my cousin's house, leading into the woods, and then nothing. What else could it be but a child-eating demon?" "Enough of this," a heavy-set man grumbled. "It is a curse. Some evil has taken root in our land." The woman at the center of the gathering, Alethea, straightened in her seat, her sharp gaze sweeping over the group. Unlike the others, she showed no fear, only quiet determination. "Panicking will not help us," she said, her voice carrying over the worried murmurs. "We will find those responsible, but we must be logical." "You say that, Chief, but what proof do we have?" another man asked, leaning forward. "We've searched the fields, the river, the streets. There is nothing. Only the forest has yet—" "Then we will search the forest," Alethea interjected, her tone firm. "No child in Eleusis will vanish under my watch. I have already sent men to patrol the outskirts. We will find the truth." Her unwavering confidence seemed to settle the group, if only slightly. One man exhaled, shaking his head. "Gods, I hope you are right." Nikarkhos waved away the conversation. "It is not our concern." But Damon, always eager for a story, leaned nosily toward the villagers. "A child-eating demon, you say? Have any seen it?" "No, but something is out there," one man whispered. "We've felt strange things in the woods. A dark presence. Let us show you tomorrow." Nikarkhos sighed. They were wasting time. Their ultimate purpose was to find the dagger Lycon mentioned and return quickly. But by morning, curiosity had taken hold. At Damon and Thera's insistence, they agreed to tour the city. and the forest where the demon was said to dwell. The morning light cast long shadows as they walked through Eleusis, led by Aletheia. They met the townsfolk, speaking with farmers, merchants, and temple workers. Eventually, they were introduced to the city's Hierophant, the chief priest of the city's main temple. Nikarkhos studied the man carefully. He was tall, with silvered hair and deep-set eyes that held an unsettling calm. "Please, call me Chrysandros," he said. He spoke with measured politeness, his presence commanding respect. Later, as they walked through the city's graveyard, they came across a small tombstone marked with the name of Chrysandros' daughter. "She died last year," a villager whispered. "A terrible sickness, one of the few children who did not recover from the plague." Nikarkhos said nothing, but gave a nod of condolence. By afternoon, they reached the forest's edge, a place where the wind howled through ancient trees. A foul energy clung to the air. The locals refused to go further, but Nikarkhos and his warriors pressed on. Among the twisted roots and overgrown thickets, they found something: pomegranate seeds, scattered like an offering. Nearby, a tattered purple string, possibly used to tie a robe, lay caught in the brambles. Nikarkhos pocketed the string. The woods felt cursed. The next morning, Nikarkhos remembered Chrysandros having worn a purple robe, so he paid a visit to the Hierophant, returning the fragment of cloth. The priest accepted it with visible tension, his hands unsteady. "I must have lost it while tending to the groves," Chrysandros murmured, gripping the cloth too tightly. Nikarkhos's gaze flickered to Chrysandros's boots, mud-caked, fresh streaks of dirt marking the leather. His gloves, similarly soiled. Strange for a man who spent his days in a temple where everything was pristine. "You seem troubled," Nikarkhos said carefully. Chrysandros swallowed, his breath uneven. "Grief is a heavy thing. I stay awake most nights, praying, hoping." His voice cracked. "I would do anything to have her back." Nikarkhos studied him, his unease growing. The way his fingers trembled, the wild gleam in his eyes. It was not just sorrow, it was desperation. Nikarkhos left the temple and immediately sought out Aletheia. "We need to watch him," he said. That night, despite Aletheia's skepticism, they did. Hidden in the trees, Nikarkhos, Damon, Thera, and Aletheia watched as Chrysandros crept into the forest, an unwieldy bundle clutched in his arms. A child, barely holding on to what consciousness was left. A stone altar loomed in the clearing, draped in withered flowers and pomegranate husks. Candles flickered in the night, their flames dancing wildly as the priest began to chant in an ancient tongue. "He's sacrificing them," Aletheia whispered, horror in her voice. Nikarkhos acted. They stormed the clearing, weapons drawn. Chrysandros let out a wail of fury, grasping a blade to finish the child before they could reach him. But Nikarkhos's dagger struck first. The weapon tore through the priest's wrist, sending the blade clattering to the earth. The child was saved. Chrysandros was seized, and under interrogation the truth spilled from his lips like poisoned honey. He had been consumed by grief since his daughter's death. One night, in his sorrow, he had heard a voice whisper from the pomegranate tree in his garden. Persephone. The queen of the underworld had promised him a bargain: sacrifice 9 children, and she and her partner Hades would return his daughter to him. She spoke of her own sorrow, of how she and Hades had ruled the underworld for countless ages, but had never been able to conceive a child of their own. She was barren, and it was the one thing that even divine power could not change. She longed for children, a family. Hades, too, had grown weary of ruling over the dead. longing for something that was full of life, not just the endless stream of lifeless souls that passed through his domain. "If you give me what I ask," Persephone had whispered through the rustling leaves, "I will give you back what you lost. Your daughter will breathe again. She will laugh, run, and call you father once more." The offer had broken him. He had accepted. The next morning, Aletheia called for a city-wide assembly. The truth of Chrysandros' crimes was laid bare before the people of Eleusis. Gasps and cries of horror filled the air. Many had trusted him. Some had sought his guidance. But now they saw him for what he truly was. Nikarkhos and his companions stood at the edge of the square as the judicial sentence was passed. Death. Aletheia turned to Nikarkhos. "Eleusis is in your debt," she said. "You saved our children." Nikarkhos was offered gifts, gold, a place of honor in Eleusis. He refused. "I ask for no reward," he said, his voice steady. "But remember this favor. Someday I may call upon you all." The people of Eleusis nodded, curious but too tired from the day's drama to ask further questions. As the sun rose over the city, Nikarkhos and his warriors mounted their camels and turned toward Athens. The shadows of Eleusis remained behind them. It was time to continue their journey. Callista, along with the fate of their people, awaited.